Welcome back, everyone. We are here tonight for this GG NA match. I am your play-by-play caster, username _Intel. There's Acronator laughing at my mistake there, but we are here to cast Down Bad versus Classified. Mr. Acronator, how are you doing tonight?
I'm feeling good, rather energized, probably unlike you. This man over here has been casting for, 6-7 hours at this point, so I have some sympathy for Intel right here. But either way, I'm particularly excited because I happen to know one of the players offhandedly on Down Bad, specifically Chrome Zephyr, who should be their flex support. I haven't seen him play in a little while, certainly not since he climbed up to, I believe, mid-GM, so I'm rather excited to see him play, but no particular bias here. I will remain neutral. But yeah, both of these teams, from what I understand, are on the lower end of this bracket, both about 2 and 3 in the standings. So they're looking to even up their match record and sort of make a name for themselves after the regular season. Try and equalize, whereas try to avoid that 2 and 4 record.
Yeah, but this is going to be a pretty intense match, I do have to say so. Both of these teams don't want to end up going negative inside of a map score more than it already is. They kind of want to make it to that 0. They want to do the best that they can. So, looking at both of these teams' maps, I don't know if you noticed this, but they have a varied playstyle difference. I've never seen a team more different in any type of scenario. Lijiang, Rialto, Temple of Anubis, Kings Row, Gibraltar, Volskaya. It goes all over the place for these teams, and they are ready. So I'm thinking Down Bad is more of a dive composition. They probably want to play as a team. And now that we're going into Busan, we're going to be able to see how they want to play in. I'm really hoping they're just memeing now.
Yeah, we'll keep in mind they have about 20 seconds to actually solidify their lineups and whatnot, so they have time to mess with us as casters. Looks like Down Bad is potentially running out with a more stereotypical composition, Classified potentially running out with a May Echo, so not a lot of hit scan pressure. No, actually Smile will be swapping over to them, create the last second, and this is looking rather normal. Yeah, pretty much exact duplicates there, so nothing too shocking here.
We're going to be seeing Classified and Down Bad now meeting in. Smile just looking for any type of situation. Managing to get a lot of damage in on Uwu. Just having to back them up, making sure to stay as a team. Classified using that Immortality just to disengage, but it looks like they still want to try to take this fight. Now Down Bad using the Immortality, just trying to move in a bit closer. However, they aren't able to do much. That wall perfectly placed, going to be able to force them out, but the stun goes on to Eevee. Going to be able to force them out. Now the freeze doubly onto them. Looks like Neem is going to be going down, but the Reiner manages to get split. Going to be moving down onto the point so they can make sure to get that pill. But Dalton managing to Fang too. The ghost inside your back room. You're not going to be able to do anything to shut them down, but Dalton is going to be now gone. The charge from the Hail Mary does manage to team back to Diva, and it looks like they want to stagger. Who cares about the 250 damage of the possibility? You're going back into your spawn room, and we're going to stagger you even more.
Dalton got 3 solo kills there, and most of that was just from jumping randomly over the little barrier that Evelix is standing in front of and getting a flashbang for 2 kills. So that's one way to open up the point. Of course, Down Bad has this first control, and they're immediately getting into this.
Alright, now we see this High Noon being used. Look at that. They use the Shatter managing. They hit them through it, and the charge in. Managing to find out that May managing to get out Uwu, and they are just continuously hitting W. The peel for Eevee is absolutely insane.
The tempo from Down Bad in general is just really well done, and they're using their ultimates rather smart, right? They're tossing them out basically 2 at a time, maybe 3 if they absolutely need it, because they had the High Noon and the Bat Matrix and tossing the Shatter just to secure the fight, but they still have the Blizzard coming up online. Viper has their bomb, whereas Classified hasn't really had the opportunity to engage, so they have basically 5 ultimates. I wouldn't be shocked to see Lighter's Blizzard come out very soon.
Yeah, that Blizzard gets used, gonna freeze them, combined with the Diva Bomb. It allows them to make a chance and find 2. Look at this, not being able to do much. But 3! Viper gets 3! They try to use the May wall to block it off, but unfortunately it kind of gets them stuck. And oh my goodness, I think I'm Down Bad.
Well, that was a beautiful stabilization from Down Bad. And they only use 2 ultimates. Again, they're being very smart about how many resources they commit into these fights. They just use the Blizzard, and then Classified answered that with 3 ultimates of their own, and they still lost the fight.
Yeah, now look, they're using the High Noon to force them to stay off the point. They want to try to capture it back. However, the high noon's gone, and this gives Down Bad the opportunity to set up. Look at that, they're going to stop the point. Never mind, they're going to allow it to be captured. But now they want to take in this fight, the window being used, they're just looking for any type of target. Running into this fight, they're going to be getting down Uwu dangerously low. Looks like Viper's going to be gone down, but Sound Barrier being used, Immortality keeping them up, during out this. But Dalton evens it up by managing to find them, and they've lost Uwu as their tank, and now the Dalton's going to be shot down. But there's only a Kree left on the point. The Shatter managing to finish off everyone else, and I don't think there's going to be anyone to touch. They've all been dead before this, and it looks like Down Bad may have the opportunity. They may have the chance, because this Doomfist comes in, but he gets swung on, and that just hurt. I saw Lighter say, guys, I got touched, and then said sorry, because Down Bad are going to be winning the first point of Busan.
The poke damage there onto Lighter at the very end was just unreal. That's like something you'd see in Echo too, realistically speaking. But beautiful play from Down Bad. They were not only in control, they were dominant in that first round of mech base. But worth noting in Classified's favor, that mech base is very unique in terms of Busan. It's the only round like it, so the other two rounds, Downtown and Sanctuary, don't really allow for the same style of play, and immediately you're seeing compositional swap-ups from both teams going over to this more dive-oriented compositions. Actually, the support and take lines exactly the same. Dalton opting for that Symmetra, probably swapping. Yep, there we go. So dead even in the mirror compositions.
Yeah, this is all about who gets that hack first, and they have the mega health back. That means they're going to be having a basically infinite amount of healing, combined with the Moira and Lucio. That gives them a lot of sustain. Now look at Eevee just jumping in, not even going to be using the bubble, not scared of much. Now going in, looking to find a target. They managed to get out Rainy. That's no Moira into this fight. Now the D.Va just trying to make some sustain. The Monkey being able to jump back, they managed to even it up by finding out both of the monkeys, but this is no jungle as they're continuing to brawl out. Classified just doing their best to try to sustain themselves, but it looks like they're not going to be able to do much. They have less people onto the point. The Tracer just trying to make something happen. However, they're going to be melted down, and it looks like Down Bad is going to be able to capture the point first.
Right now, Down Bad's target focus is just on a different level. They have transcended to the next level, brought it even further beyond. And I mean, realistically, you look at their ult economy, they're just a full step in front of Classified. You know, everyone's like 60-70%. Classified is more in like the 40-50 range. So Down Bad are going to be able to use their ultimates and actually take these fights to that ult phase much sooner.
Look at that, they're already taking it to fight. Smile's just looking to make something happen. They managed to burst down me. There's no Sombra. However, Rainy goes down, and now they have no Moira to help them heal. They are going to be able to capture this point back. No, barely being touched. That Primal going out. The sound bit, the Pulse Bomb not being able to sustain them out, and the Primal making sure that anyone who tries to touch the point is just conclude the round. Now the D.Va Bomb going out, looking to make some type of value, and the remech now comes in. So the fight's still very much alive for both of these teams, as they're just looking over. Down Bad finding out the advantage. Dalton making sure to find two inside this fight. Still has the Pulse Bomb if they want to try to invest it out onto the Monkey, but it looks like Classified just want to back up and not commit any more than they've already done.
Honestly, Down Bad is just playing their win conditions much better. When you look at them dive onto a target, everyone is diving in. You have the Sombra, you have the Tracer, the Winston and the D.Va, as well as the Lucio, just running in face first and focusing down whoever is there. Whereas Classified is playing much more split, but that's not necessarily how you get the most value out of these dives. And you can see they're having trouble. No one on Down Bad is really dying unless you have a unlucky positioning from Down Bad or someone aggressing a little bit too much, but for the most part, Down Bad is just finding these kills so much more decisively.
The EMP gets first. Looks like Viper pops stairs, but isn't able to get much. The Sound Barrier still stays alive, and now they're just looking to shut people down later, not going to be able to survive, but Eevee goes a bit too far out and gets picked. Now they're just looking, he has to touch the point. The hack goes on to the Treasure at the Pulse Bomb, and now they're not able to blink out of the fight. That's the most valuable resource, and now they're gone. Dalton just looking to start melting people down, but they have a Monkey on point. Lighter switching over to the Doomfist, hoping to be able to touch the Moira. Now gone. Chromoside not going to be able to do much. The Bomb now being placed on point, hoping to just find a target. Unable, but it pushes them off the point. Gives a chance for Yami to come back, and now they build up their ultimate. Dalton's going to go down for the promo rate. They managed to find two into this fight. The Doomfist there looking to just even things up. However, they're going to be fisted instead, and now it looks like Uber's going to be able to find out Evelyn, but it looks like Classified are still going to be able to have the chance, and a reset's going to come out of Down Bad.
Yeah, Down Bad really didn't want to give that up, but eventually they just bled too many members. And when you look at their old economy in particular, it's rather anemic compared to what it's been in the past. You do have the Primal Rage and the Pulse Bomb still, but the Pulse Bomb in particular is more just an overglorified cooldown. Classified, however, is coming up onto full support ultimates much quicker, so they're probably going to be looking to use those soonish.
Yeah, the bomb gets caught inside the bubble. The pulse bomb goes out, ain't able to stick. However, they shut down 2 DPS on either side, and now they managed to get Chrome with the melee combo. That's what you want to see. Now there's Smiles just looking to finish people off. The pulse bomb gets eaten. Dalton not able to do much, but it looks like the fight's pretty much over for Down Bad as they're just slowly being melted down, and they need to reset if they want any chance of another fight.
Yeah, they're certainly not reset. Actually, they're actually going for a full capture here, as well as Mimosa having the EMP, so they might even toss it into the fight, but they might not even need it.
They're continuing into this. Look at that, the D.Va not being able to AD straight the Moira, and now that Samba's going to be hacked or just continuously in. The Sound Barrier Coalescence hack now being on. Oh my goodness, it looks like they don't really care what the scenario is. Down Bad just want to win. They don't care if they need to regroup. They're just looking for any chance they can at that. Uwu's going to be taken out. They're going to be throwing the D.Va bomb just to make sure nobody else can touch. And my goodness, similar to how Vancouver plays, they take no chance down. Nothing is losable because Down Bad wins Busan.
That was decisive, to say the least. Down Bad just played faster. It felt like whenever they had at least 3 members on the point, regardless of how many Classified had also on the point, they were willing to invest. And sometimes that didn't work. That's really why Classified was able to get so much point control on downtown there. But towards the last fight, you saw that it worked in Down Bad's favor. They were able to just stay alive as long as possible, particularly because they had a Winston, a Sombra, and a Lucio with beat on point, so they could just invest that and then build up to the Primal Rage, build up to the EMP, and just chuck them out, because Classified, again, didn't have target focus to really focus down people, even though they had 5-6 people on point. Down Bad only had 3.
Yeah, I definitely see what you mean. So now it's all up to Classified to kind of even up their fight. I think Down Bad's pure aggression, they understand their win condition, and they're playing around it perfectly. So I think when it comes to these fights, they need to be finishing them up a lot cleaner.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, it was rare for Down Bad to lose those fights in the neutral fight in particular, just because they often weren't caught out, whereas Classified was very split, and that's really what Down Bad wants. They want to find one isolated target, possibly like a flex support or the off tank, and just dive in onto them, focus them down so that the rest of Classified can't peel for them, especially if it's the off tank, because they're normally the person who does peel. And then you get the D.Va automatic, you get the Moira back to spawn, and then they can just cycle through the rest of the targets from there.
Oh, I see what you mean. However, the next map we're going on to is obviously going to be Hybrid. Hybrid is a very interesting map, I'd say the least. You obviously can run a bunch of compositions, and especially with it being Classified's pick, we might be seeing a King's Stroke come out of it. It seems to be the one that everyone loves. They puff out their chest, and they just run the pure dive. However, I think when it comes to this Brawl. When it comes to Brawl versus Brawl, I definitely think Down Bad have the advantage. They just look to be a lot more confident when it comes to committing into these team fights.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think that I'm too far out there when I'm saying that I, right now, feel like Down Bad is just in the advantageous position regardless of what map they're playing, whatever compositions they have to play, unless there's some kryptonite, they can't play double shield or something like that. It's not even in the meta, but that's even besides the point. Down Bad is just playing fundamentally better during Busan. Of course, that can change. Control is such a wacky map type compared to everything else, realistically. So there is potential for Classified to come back, but Down Bad just played so much better on Busan.
Ooh, but now I'm just excited to see whatever type of scenario we go into, because Classified definitely have an uphill battle to go against. What we've seen, obviously, I say an uphill battle, but obviously a lot of teams, after that first map, they get warmed up. And now look at this, King's Row, the streets that everyone loves.
Yeah, well, this is going to be Classified's chance to, I guess, slow the tempo down a little bit, because it favors a lot of Mei play, Mei McCree Brawl, and it's certainly slower than the dive that they were trying to play on the downtown section of Busan. So I guess that's their chance.
Yeah, it also gives a lot of capability for much faster compositions. If you want to run a Doomfist, bubble them in so they can dive, that's perfectly capable. If you want to run AC-130, which is a Bastion, and you just teleport them around, that's fine. But more importantly, I think Hanzo is a big deciding factor. If any of these teams decide to run it, Hanzo can basically click 2 heads and end a team fight.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of spam potential there on King's Row. It could even see something like a Junkrat. It wouldn't be too out there. Realistically speaking, I think we've even seen it in Overwatch League as of late. But we're going to have to wait and see. It looks like Down Bad will be staying on the defense. They want to set that win condition. Obviously, if they can get a first hold, that'd be all the better. Win this series rather quick. Trying to be the exact opposite of the previous intermediate division game that just happened earlier this afternoon.
I definitely would have to say I am very excited on the tip of my toes because we just had an amazing Kingstrom match. So these teams could take it as far as they can or be as aggressive, but it's all up to the composition and decisions of these teams. And honestly, my guess is we're all mirror watch.
Probably, yeah. It's King's Row. It feels almost like blasphemy if you don't run a Reinhardt. It does have a brief pause. Not entirely sure why. It might be Viper because he's the only one who didn't choose a hero yet.
Yeah. On the bright side, we did get to see the defense's composition. They stuck with the Kree Mei. That's obviously a composition that we've seen a lot of teams run. You allow the Mei to give room to be able to wall off, and we're going back in. So, Akri, I would like you to comment on these compositions.
Well, keep in mind, Classified can switch things up still as they want. I would be shocked if Smile runs out onto the Pharah. Lighter, sticking on to the Widowmaker, at least for the first couple seconds, isn't too crazy. But the big difference here, if they stick onto it, is the off-tanks that I'm noticing, because Viper with the D.Va is going to be a lot more defense-oriented, whereas Previa, if they stick onto the Sigma, is going to be a lot more aggressive, but also poke-oriented, whereas with the D.Va, you can get a lot closer range, so Classified would want to kite, whereas Down Bad wants to be like right in Classified's faces, and it looks like they're going to be prepared to run out, although they did get scouted, so I'm not sure how Down Bad wants to take this engagement.
Yeah, look at that. They're already having to... They switch sides.
Oh,
Elix
wow.
gets caught down first. That's so unfortunate. The headshot managing to do a lot of the damage. And it looks like that side switch isn't going to be in their favor. Mim just trying to do the best, but they're going to be shut down too. It looks like Classified are being able to capture this point. Very risky play. This seems like something you'd see a lower elo game try because they saw it happen in comp one time.
Yeah, well, I mean, keep in mind, these are GM teams, so if they scout you out like that, and there's no way that Down Bad would have known that they were playing Hanzo. That is somewhat of a niche pick, but the second they saw it there, they saw the positioning of the defense, they're like, hey, just run to point. No one's there. We can just press W and win, and that's exactly what happened. 5.5 minutes coming into the streets phase is massive. Neither team is really particularly close to any ultimates. The closest is Lighter, just because they melted Evolix, but otherwise, I don't think they're going to have to use the Dragons for at least a little while. The next fight, full team fight, is probably going to take a couple seconds to build up.
Yeah, but this is why I love Hanzo. Look how much pressure they put onto the shield, and now they have the Dragons to force them to split up. It gets eaten by Viper! That's so amazing! They also managed to get the Mei, so now they're going to be able to start walking in. Classified, while they may lose one, they gain another, and they're just going to be melting the rest Down Bad.
A little bit sloppy on the defense here. Down Bad are playing extremely fast still, but it's less coordinated than it was, say, with their dive or their brawl, even on Busan mech base. It feels a little bit too reckless, and Classified has now got a read on that and have been able to slightly disengage, use like maybe an ultimate or two, or even just some big cooldowns. Oh god, Ubu is looking for the flank shatter. There's no way they don't realize this, right?
No, they don't, because they're going to be walking... Oh my goodness, they let it happen. The immortality sustains them, so the Rabbinic Flux has to go up in the air to look for a target, but the Mei's trying to even things up, or Smile is ready into this fight and be able to find Evelyn, and now they're just looking to continue in. That Blizzard now coming out. They're going to be able to sustain themselves for a little bit. Don't know if they're going to be able to follow up too much on them. They get the Mei, they get the Baptiste. However, the Sigma's still there. Same with the Reinhardt. There's only going to be a D.Va left to try to touch the throwing out the bomb. There should be no shield to stop it. Doesn't find anyone, but they still are there for the contest to hopefully have somebody come back and help them out. But we do see Poopy returning back. The Reinhardt's now there looking to just continue to hit W onto this fight. So it seems Classified want to retreat, give them a little respect.
And I think that comes down to the big problem that we saw from Classified in Busan is they kind of lacked target focus there. The only person there was Previa on Viper on the D.Va, and they couldn't take down the D.Va.
Yeah, but that sound barrier is going to be used. Honestly, it looks like Classified just want to retreat, but it does look like Down Bad's able to find one. The They used the main Blizzard to focus out Eve, and everyone had left Eve at that point, so there was no follow-up or any type of peel, and now they're just continuing to walk forward. It looks like they don't even need a main tank. Eve is just not going to be able to help out their team as Down Bad just continues to start melting down the rest of the opponents, but they are capturing point, and I don't think there's anyone who can touch in time. No, they know, and the song. No.
And it was the Baptiste too. It wasn't even a Lucio. It's the slowest character you can think of. Oh my. Rain is gonna be so proud of themselves for that. That went from a really good defense from Down Bad to, oh wow, Classified have over 4 minutes to take one more point. This is kind of turning into a disaster for Down Bad, but they still have another point. There's plenty of time.
The Gravitic Flux finds 2, the High Noon finding 1, but they use the Dragons. They forced to split the remake, and it looks like Classified started to actually play seriously because they just easily win that fight, and they're just trying to shut down Viper before the remake kill can happen. That was a little scary. I saw it happen.
Yeah, get a little bit dicey there with the remake, but either way, you do have Mimosa swapping. I believe they swapped briefly to a Tracer, but now back on to May. And Down Bad really don't have that much to work with for this defense. They're going to have Chrome's Baptiste Matrix and Viper's Bomb coming up soon thereafter, but I mean, Classified has both support ultimates. That's a lot of utility.
They're going to use the Sound Barrier combined with the Shattered Window. They managed to get even this fight, but it looks like they want to give a bit of respect while they wait. Me being able to find one out. The Demon Bomb being thrown into the back finds out Boopy, and is going to help secure the fight for Down Bad. Honestly, that was the best scenario that they could have looked for, and they're coming up on both DPS ults, so it wasn't really much of a waste.
Yeah, definitely. Down Bad played that defense really well. Granted, this is now probably the main part of the map where they're going to have a massive spawn advantage, so they can play a little bit looser, they can play faster, they can lose some people, and still win these fights. And unfortunately for them, they still have about 3 minutes to defend, so Classified has time to just build up some ultimates and engage. But this is looking pretty good so far for Down Bad.
Yep. Uwu's getting pressured out though. The High Noon being used at an angle combined with the Blizzards looking for an opportunity. Manages to get the Sigma, and they're looking for the rest of the targets. Looks like they're not even going to be able to do much. Everyone on Classified just taking a dry fight, it seems, just trying to bait out the ultimate. Gets 2.
Yeah, and if you're Classified, that's totally fine. I don't know if they're going to want to take another dry fight, because while they do have the Blizzard, the Beat is going to be able to negate that to a good degree, but at the same time, Previa doesn't have to worry about the Beat for the Gravitic Flux. Unfortunately, Classified is also starting to show some more of that lack of target focus, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to win these fights regardless of how good their ultimates are used.
Now, look, we see that Shatter come out, it gets blocked, and Eve pays with their life. The Sound Barrier coming out a little too late because the Hanzo Storm Arrows are a bit faster, but they end up trading the Blizzard being able to melt down, forcing them to back up. Ulu goes down dangerously low, being able to escape. They only lost Lighter in this fight. The Lucio's the last one to stall at this point, so it's all up to see how far they can push this payload. Down Bad are only coming up on ults. They have nothing to sustain themselves, and they're still being staggered. While they move out of the spawn room, this isn't looking great.
Yeah, no, about a minute and a half left, and Classified, as much as I ragged on them for not having too much target focus, that last fight was a great example of having target focus. A ton of ultimates coming out, but Lighter with the 2K.
This is looking great for Classified, a new team, and the Maze being the only one who can touch, but no longer, as looks like Classified are being able to capture the point with 1 minute and 23 seconds. I'd have to say it was a bit back and forth at points, but Classified looks so clean, especially with the Hanzo.
Yeah, definitely. Lighter really came alive on the third point in particular. I think that contributed to an actual development of target focus towards the end there, because there's just so much burst damage that it doesn't really matter if anyone's focusing the same target as the Hanzo, because something's gonna die. As we saw in the very first fight of this of the previous round, Evelix just like melted from basically nothing but storm arrows from Lighter, so that's pretty good. Now realistically, it's Down Bad's turn to clap back. You know, they don't necessarily need to have the strongest first point. As long as they can capture all 3 points with some time on the board, then they're going to be in a decent position. They do still need to capture all 3 points with time on board, though. Otherwise, they're in a draw or lose scenario. So it's going to be a little bit on them to make sure that they can have a good tempo while not getting too ambitious, right? That's been their downfall a lot in the first 2 points of their defense on King's Row. Let's hope it's not the downfall for the entirety of their King's Row. Neither of these teams coming out with anything too crazy, though. The compositions are basically the same from what we saw last round.
I don't know how well Classified's composition will work because they're no longer the aggressors. They have to worry about defense. However, I do see it working out in the end.
Possibly, yeah. It's going to be a lot on lighter for finding off angles and taking down targets here and there. Dalton, interestingly, on the Symmetra, and it looks like they're sticking onto it, so they're not going to have very much long-range damage, but they will have a lot of presence in the close range, which is kind of terrifying if they can manage to rotate to the point, which
yeah, but
they're basically there.
They also take the TP, so they're just waiting for the speed boost so they can rotate down. It's kind of curious. I don't know what their goal is exactly, but they're going to be jumping down now, looking to build up that Sim beam, walking across the wall, be able to find out Uwu, but trades inside that fight. The Symmetra's job is just to be able to rack up damage. They can't shield against it. Looks like Beam is able to find out Beam, and now the Symmetra's job is starting to awaken Dalton, just being able to start melting people down. The Sim having to escape. The Sigma not being able to do anything against it. I think this is why you run that Symmetra. They seem so confident on it, just being able to melt down the rest of the team.
Yeah, there's really nothing you can do. You have to back up this first point and the choke. Well, maybe not anymore, but the first point is definitely down bad. It's in Dalton. I don't know if they're going to stick onto the Symmetra. They certainly can because Streets is very close quarters. Once they get to third point, that's a different discussion, but they've got a long way to go until that point. Now, when you're looking at the defense, Classified is going to want to hold down bad in the cart to this choke point right here that's now passing through.
Look at this. They don't even want to. They don't even have the ability to start taking up the space that they want. Both window and that wall gets placed by Previous using that Gravitics looking to find a target. However, they trade off. Looks like Light still wants to make sure that they win this fight, fighting off me and continuously allowing the team to move forward, taking out their sights. Uwu just trying to move forward. They're looking for these stagger picks right now because that team is not being able to do much. But it looks like Dalton's just trying to be in the back line. Has such a high charge, but it's just trying to die. Still finds range. You have to be paying attention. Come on, don't let that happen right now.
Oh, unfortunate, but what can you do? Rather staggered. I wouldn't be shocked to see Dalton. Yep, there we go. There's the swap. The Symmetra is only going to get diminishing returns from there on out. Now, looking into this next fight, I would fully expect Lighter to use the Dragons, because why not? Streets Face is the perfect opportunity to use it. And Downbad doesn't necessarily have an answer besides Chrome's Lamp.
Ooh. But I think that's going to be a bigger issue because that Shatter comes out and only hits Lucio, but the Dragons are there. They managed to live through the immortality, but it manages to get Dalton, who's moving back. Uwu being able to start pushing in the Sound Barrier, saving them a bit, but the counter Blizzard now being used. It looks like it's just up to whoever managed to being able to find two down. It looks like Down Bad are able to bring it out. Nisosa is able to even up the fight and bring it home for their team, but Uwu's still alive there. They're just having to melt them down, bullying the poor Reinhardt.
That was a really weird fight because for a good 3 seconds there, no one was allowed to play the game outside of Mimosa, but during those 3 seconds, he had 3 kills to his name on top of Chrome eventually getting out of the Blizzard. That's a decent amount of damage to add on top of May with the Baptiste's primary fire. So that was a really good play from Mimosa in particular to toss out the Blizzard and find good positioning to knock him off and Smiles and roll on forward from there. And now Down Bad has just under 5 minutes themselves for third point.
Oh, this could be a weird scenario, but they're going to be using that window, the Granite Clutch popping out, hoping to just find a target. Doesn't seem to be able to, is allowing them to just move back and take their space as the Shatter comes out. I spoke too soon. It looks like Uwu was ready to just end it out. And on this type of point, King's Row is either you manage the cap with around 3 minutes or so, or you get an overtime. But often or not, you just end up getting held. So I'm more worried for Down Bad to be able to push this as far as they can.
Possibly, yeah, but at the same time, they didn't really invest too much there. Chrome did use the Baptiste Matrix, but that's almost disposable when you think about it, whereas Previa using the Gravitic Flux, Nuwu using that Shatter, those are more valuable to get out.
Oh, the Demon Bomb gets thrown! They put in the aggression, they 5-2 off of it! Down Bad, not even sweating. They still have the Blizzard when it comes to their next fight, and they managed to put Lighter in a dangerous scenario. They have the Dragon Sound Barrier, so I wonder how this last fight is going to turn out.
Well, Smile also has their Blizzard, so I'd expect both Blizzards to come out almost instantaneously. Dalton and Evelix are going to have to be very quick in building up their Shatter and timing, respectively.
Yeah, the Dragon's being used. It forces the entirety of Down Bad to split up, so the Sound Barrier gets used to help sustain them a tiny bit, but the Blizzard's now being used. The High Noon in the backline manages to find out me. They're looking to just find any opportunity that they can. Uwu goes down. Still somewhat of an even fight as Eve is still alive and still able to start pushing their team. Look at that, the window being used. They managed to find out Rain with a clean headshot, and they're still pushing forward. They managed to find out Lighter, and there's nothing they can do. The main managed to get stunned in the end of hit, and they are going to be calving with 3 minutes. See, it's exactly like the fourth scenario I said.
Yeah, well, that was somewhat unfortunate earlier on for Down Bad, where Mimosa died to the Blizzard before they could get a chance to toss out their own, but it didn't really matter because they disengaged rather well. They allowed Evalex to get more healing to stay alive, and Uwu falls from there. The main tank from Classified is gone. There's a huge amount of sustainability then gone, and they couldn't take any more space. Previo is getting forced out, and then Dalton tossing in a ton of damage through Chrome's Baptiste Matrix. That was really just great discipline from Down Bad to take that final point.
Oh my goodness. Now it's up to this overtime scenario, and I don't know about you, Acronator, but in GGEU, we saw a team bring it back when they were on the back foot. One team had double the time, but they still managed to win the point, and I can see Classified doing that. They looked very great, especially with the Hanzo, so it's just they have to push this payload as far as they can go.
Yeah, possibly. They are changing some things up. Smile is not on the Mei anymore. They're onto the McCree, so this is going to be a lot of burst and poke damage. Classified is basically going to dominate the mid-range fight, whereas Down Bad are going to want to get as close as possible to Uwu and Previa in particular, just to make sure that they can't exist. And that's going to be Mimosa's job, primarily, to find those good balls and just collapse in from there. But they do still have to respect the poke of Classified.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be taking the high ground. They have the ability to drop down whenever they want to. However, Classified, no, they jump in. They want to meet. This is so aggressive. Look at that already. Classified don't know what to do. They have the shield, so they're going to be able to wait, but they managed to get booped off. Boop. Now they have to retreat, but it's even up. King Kong is going to pay with this life for that boop, however. But Classified are now split. Everyone now backing up on the side of Down Bad. They just want to wait. They've lost one. They don't have the speed boost to engage inside this fight, but they're giving up Classified the entirety of the point. That wall's going to go out. They're looking for the Sigma. Oh no! Prep is going to be able to get field. Same with the Immortality, saving them a tick, giving up. Now they're continuing into this fight. Chrome has the windows, looking to use it. Eve being able to shut them down. And my goodness, that was looking almost a little scary, but it seems they've caught Classified with their pants down.
Yeah, that was really, really good play from Down Bad. Great rotation, great discipline to disengage and then re-engage, almost taking out Previa. But even though they didn't get that kill onto Previa immediately, it forced out so many resources from the supports, in particular from Classified, that they didn't really have anything to deal with the remainder of the damage coming in from Down Bad. And Down Bad didn't waste any major cooldowns to try and get that kill either. They were just neutral play and good cooldowns.
And look at this, now they're continuing back into the fight. This Diva Bomb being placed right behind them. It does get shielded, but it leaves them open to Eevee Shatter. They get a take, but that's going to be the end of it. Even the Dragons can only do so much. Nobody can touch as we see Down Bad stop this before it can go any further.
They did get a tick, and, you know, about 48%, so like a tick and a half, we'll say. Right, so there is a win condition that has to be met. So Classified, if they have a good defense, and I mean like a stellar defense, they can win this map, but it is going to be a tall order because that's like, what, 3 minutes and some change for a tick and a half? That's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, but it's not impossible.
Not even. It's kind of in that weird scenario. All they have to do is maybe invest 3 ultimates at once in a fight, and you just shut down Classified. So it's up to them to be sure that they're playing prepared. Look at that. They don't even want to run the Hanzo. They are more certain on running in the crease to stun people from the flanks.
I don't fault this option. Previa actually going for the Diva as well. Like I said before, the Sigma is very poke-oriented, but not as defensive, whereas the Diva is more defensive. It allows for more risks to be taken because you can eat up a lot of that damage from the defense matrix. So I don't really fault them for that, especially not running the Hanzo as well, because they're looking to kill the clock as much as possible here.
Oh, we're getting ready now. These teams are going to be coming out. Will Classified be able to shut them down? Dalton going back onto the Symmetra. They seem excited and ready. I wonder how Classified are going to be able to adapt. Nope. Okay, I got you baited.
Yep, well, that's what happens when they're on offense. So pretty much standard from both teams. It's going to be up to whoever can play their cooldowns and win positions better.
Yeah, but it looks like down bad. Even without the Symmetra, they favor this high ground. It seems they want to take it. The D.Va up there having to retreat. They get Dalton with the Fire Strike. That's amazing. Now there's no creep going in with long-range pokes, so they have to take it without it. However, that does give Dalton the ability to take the rotation whenever they want and go slow. However,
the Symmetra.
Dalton's just angry now. Look at that, they're already the boom goes in and Eve gets pulled into the back line of the enemy. It's just trying to stay alive and it's gonna be shut down. How unfortunate. Now they're just moving in. This is an uneven fight, but they still manage to just start moving out. They just want to reset. They look terrified.
Yeah, that got a little bit dicey for Classified. Their attention was split while they were trying to spawn Camp Dalton, but that is why Evolix charged in. They almost got a cheeky pick, and if they had gotten that pick onto Boopri, then who knows, it might have opened up the entire fight. Now you have Mimosa with the Blizzard, a little bit ahead of Lighter, but not so much that I wouldn't expect both Blizzards to come out in this upcoming fight. Smile does have the High Noon as well coming out now.
Look at that, the High Noon being used, comboed with the window, and they're just gonna wait it out. That's exactly what you want to do. Have Classified waste those ultimates and go through the room. Now look at them already going out. They're just looking to use any opportunity they can, and it seems they're gonna be able to use that window to force them off, combined with the Blizzard from both of these teams, but it looks like Down Bad has the advantage. They're finding more value with their picks, but now D.Va's last one there. We see the Baptiste just trying to do the best they can, but unable to find much, and they are just going down. It looks like Down Bad are going to be able to capture this point and bring in the lead 2-0.
Boopri trying her hardest to to touch the point there, but unfortunately not quite able to do so. Granted, with the time allotted, there's no real shocker that they couldn't touch. Great play from Down Bad overall. Very risky for the first push, but they got there eventually. Yeah, here's Mimosa with like a 3K, I believe. Beautiful kills left and right. Yep, 2 kills right off the bat, and eventually getting a third. Oh, that's just kind of gnarly. If you ask me, that opened up the entirety of second point for Down Bad.
It really did. We saw Classified looking a lot better, but they're going to need to bring in that energy. They need to bring in their primal rage if they want to have any chance to even it up, because next up we're going on Escort, and Escort is very similar to Hybrid. Once that payload gets moving, you have to make sure you can get it to stop.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess depending on what these teams want to run, Down Bad again has looked really good on the Brawl, a little bit more even with Classified in terms of the Brawl, whereas they definitely outclassed Classified on the dive composition, much heavier. So potentially Classified trying to avoid, Gibraltar or something like that. It's heavily dive oriented. You might see something like Dorado, where you can actually get away with Brawl if you really wanted to. Or possibly even Rialto. I believe that's also in the map pool. So that would be another one that's good for just standard Brawl. Don't have to worry about the dive whatsoever.
Definitely see what you mean, especially when it comes, but I kind of want to give props to Smile. They ran that Lighter. Lighter ran that Hanzo, and they did an amazing job of making space, putting in pressure, and that's kind of what allowed them to move in a lot during King's Row. Down Bad seemed to just take a longer time to adapt to having no shield at all, and ended up causing them to, they still win that map, but still, that's a weakness that you've seen. When they lose that main tank, when they lose the ability to have someone to guide them into those fights, they start slacking, and they are slow to adapt to it.
Yeah, definitely. It felt like Down Bad had a better idea of what to do in case they lost any member of their team, whereas Classified got a little bit hung up when they lost members here and there, and that's rather difficult to do, especially when you're at such a high level of play. Again, these teams are all GM, give or take, so it means that you're going to be losing members left and right. These DPS players are very good just by nature. They're not going to miss very many shots. You're going to have random picks left and right, and you have to be able to try and stabilize. You can't play like a plat anymore where you lose one player. It's like, oh guys, disengage. No, you kind of have to maybe soft disengage at most, which you saw Down Bad do much better. Rotate around to somewhere, restabilize, and then come back in and win these fights.
Definitely see what you mean. So when it comes to these teams, I wonder if we can hear a reverse sweep kind of slowing down in. Classified have their glasses, they've hit the shine, they're ready for it. And the next map we're going to is Junkertown, heavily a sniper
Huh.
map, but favorite to a lot of dive compositions.
I could definitely also see some bunker being played if they wanted to run something like double sniper, Orisa Sigma, for example, double sniper, double shield, I suppose. We have seen some double bubble. We've seen some stereotypical brawl be played. So there's a lot of versatility in terms of what these teams could run. Maybe the DPS are locked in a little bit more than usual, just because of the long sightlines for the majority of the map. But otherwise, I'm very interested to see what Classified wants to do here. It looks like Down Bad actually opted to attack first this time around. So I guess they wanted to have a little bit of fun, play more of the map.
Definitely see what you mean. But I'm more excited. I'm really excited to see if one team might run the Bastion composition. I often we see them run this bunker, and I think it could work. Don't know at this level if it is, but it seems that Down Bad really just want to take this home and be able to start running out first to understand their win condition.
Yeah, I'd certainly have an eyebrow raised if either of these teams tries to run the Bastion pirate ship because, as we've seen, both of these teams have different strategies that are equally as viable to stop it. Lighter on the side of Classified is a rather nasty Hanzo, as we saw. Down Bad it plays very aggressively, so I'm not entirely sure if the Bastion on Classified's hypothetical side would be able to survive very long with everyone in his face.
Oh, I see what you mean. It's going to be a very kind of excited scenario. But Classified probably just needs to take a deep breath. I am running on pure adrenaline alone from casting for over 8 hours. I can't even lie to you now because I'm just so excited to see where this match goes. It's either I continue longer to cast or I pass out immediately after Down Bad. We're going back to the campsite. We just wait for a couple seconds. But honestly, what are your expectations with their act rate? I'm seeing Classified bringing this as far as they can, but I'm more worried if they can finish it out, especially back on King's Row. They just didn't have the ability to, I guess, secure a team fight.
Yeah, definitely. I think if things are going the way they have been for the last two maps, I would fully expect Down Bad to just take this 3-0. But I'm not counting Classified out quite yet because they have moments of brilliance. They have been able to take King's Row rather far. They made certain fights in Busan somewhat close, but I'd say King's Row, the more recent map, they sort of found their footing to some degree. I mean, they brought it to overtime rounds. But they have been struggling with being able to soft disengage and then re-engage to take a more favorable fight. So if they can manage to be more flexible in their tempo, realistically, they could at the very least match Down Bad just a little bit more and make them work for it.
I honestly understand what you mean. I'm just ready to see whatever happens. Down Bad have the opportunity. And I think Classified might be running off those snipers. I mean, they did run the Hanzo, and we've seen what they're capable of. But imagine they have a Widow, and they're able to take their sight lines that they want. I think that's going to give them the opportunity to kind of fix any issues when it comes to finishing up team fights, especially if the fact that their snipers are finishing it up before anything could happen. However, Down Bad have shown to be able to play together. While, yes, on King's Row, they did get staggered at a couple here and there, they die together, and they die very fast. The team is very smart, and they understand their win conditions half the time.
Yeah, definitely. Down Bad has been playing their win conditions great. In terms of if we do see double sniper, I'm personally going to be very interested to see if they would to run something like the Widow Hanzo or like the Ash Hanzo. Which specific snipers would get played, just because there's a decent amount of flexibility in terms of what they could run if they really wanted to. There's the potential for. I guess it really depends on what the defense runs in that case. So I guess it would really be on Down Bad to pick something up first, whereas Classified being on the defense first would have to sort of stick with whatever they got. I wouldn't be shocked even to see potentially some like tracer play on the side of the offense. There's so much that they could do. I guess is what I'm saying. That it's hard to say what we can expect until we actually see them teasing things left and right.
Definitely see what you mean. Both these teams are going to be very prepared, especially in this map scenario. I'm wondering if we'll end up seeing a remake, but while we wait, we're gonna be going on break. Rather not just randomly sit here, pish pash, So we do hope you come back to watch to see if Down Bad take it in a 3-0 or Classified have the opportunity to reverse sweep. Either way, we'll see you when we come back. It was a pause, but it wasn't really a long one. However, bet you didn't expect us to be back this fast as we return for Classified versus Down Bad in the 2-0 series. How are you doing after those few seconds of a rest?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm itching to get into this potentially final map of the series. I'm sure Down Bad would love to end it out in a 3-0 victory to even up their win-loss record again. Both these teams, 2-3 in their win-loss records. I'm sure they'd love to even that up a bit.
I see what you mean. Down Bad is more than ready to take it up, but I feel like Classified are more than ready to make sure that they can come up and get the reverse sweep. And I think that would be an amazing match, no matter how much my voice would end up wanting to strangle me behind an alleyway of donuts. But it happens either way. I'm really expecting to see double snipers. We talked about it before the break. It's kind of the composition that's favored here. Same with the double shield and bastion.
Yeah, possibly. We'll get a first look at what Classified wants to run on the defense here in just a moment. Down Bad, of course, being on the offense first, we'll have a little bit more time to meme with us, I guess, debate us, as it were. Yeah, potentially they're teasing it, but who knows if they're actually going to run out with it on the offense. Classified sticking with the same old stereotypical May McCree brawl, which I guess if Down Bad does run out on the Bastion, I'd be a little bit worried because they're going to have to play very quickly and collapse in on some immos, but that requires them to actually run out on this Bastion.
I could see them still wanting to run it, but they're going to need to be able to scout for it. It seems that they want to play this high ground to stop any form of like a close spawn hold, but I don't know how well this will work if they're not ready to adapt against it.
Okay, so Classified, ironically, they probably won't know anything about the Bastion quite yet, but they're going to have a really good position to...
Oh, yep, they walk out, yep. Dalton just goes into the flames. That was so funny. I just saw Dalton just sprint in, unable to do anything, but it looks like they want to take in the flank, switching over to the right side, but the Bastion's alone just with this Zenyatta. Now taking this flank, hoping they melt down lighter. That's exactly what you want to see. The D.Va just hoping to put in some pressure, but Meme is just absolutely being pocketed. Now the D.Va going low onto the DMX, Dalton back, hoping to melt them down. Looks like they're not able to quickly rotate. Sure, you managed to bring out Eevee. However, the Bastion's still there, and they're melting you down. And you've given the Bastion pretty much as much Ultra as you've given to the Reinhardt.
Pretty much. Now the pirate ship is established for the time being. Let's see. Have to see how long that lasts. Now that it's scouted out, we do have Classified making a few crucial swaps. Previa over to the Sigma, lighter onto the Hanzo. Pretty expected by this point. This is going to be rather difficult for Mimosa to stay onto the point. I wouldn't be shocked if they have to make some slight rotations mid-fight to stay alive.
Yeah, look at this. They're already looking to just shield in, but Uwu wants to run and take out that Bastion. They melt down the immortality. Uwu not being able to survive. It looks like Smile's able to take out me, so they kind of open up the fight. But there is no type of areas where they can just move in, especially the Smile is now gone. It's all up to Prev to just try to hold it out as a Sigma. Lights goes down. They switch. That Reinhardt now coming back. The Bastion is returning soon. The Orisa putting in so much damage. They're just looking to do the best. That window's now coming out. The Bastion returning into the fight, and they're just melting everyone on the side of Classified. There's just nothing they can do because there's so much poke and they're not able to play fast enough.
Honestly, if you're Classified, you almost have to give up this first point so that you can get an advantageous positioning to hold second point. And even then, they're going to have quite a few people coming in with staggered spawns. So they're going to have most of their team in good positions, but they're going to be missing, I believe, Uwu in particular.
Wait, the Shatter comes out and hits the shield or something. Didn't see much come out of it. Now they're using that Gravitic Flux. The Immortality is going to keep them alive, and Viper's going to accidentally fall off the edge, so they can't poke, but it saves their life somewhat. Dalton does have the ability, so they're going to be having a couple ultimates when it comes to this fight.
Yeah, definitely. However, I'm not sure how much they're really going to have to use because, okay, well, it looks like Mimosa's down, so that's now out of the fight.
Yep, the Visor able to even it up. Looks like the High Indian's looking for a target, but Dalton's still in their backline looking to find someone. The Orisa's gone. dropping the healing for himself, and now they're just continuing in. Me also drops down on the point to go after the Sigma. The Reinhardt doing their best missions to charge, and it's gonna die. Looks like they are being punished for not regrouping fast enough.
You know, Classified isn't doing a terrible job of dealing with the Bastion. Mimosa is dying a lot in these fights, but then they're having a lot of difficulty dealing with Dalton, which is just really weird because Soldier isn't necessarily the hardest hero to deal with. He's very difficult to find value. The one thing he has going for him is that he runs fast and has consistent damage, but not a ton of damage. So the fact that they're allowing Dalton to just rotate however well he pleases is kind of bad for the defense.
Yeah, they use the Bastion Sentry mode so they can help burst out Uwu. Looks like those dragons are gonna force out the Immortality as they're on the point, but they managed to find Smile the Sigma, not being able to do much to Gravitic Flux just to even it out and make sure they can't do nothing. And they're gonna be able to cap second point with over 4 minutes. Very good out of this team.
Dear. This is... I don't think I've ever seen a time bank this massive. For Junker down third point, this is ridiculous. And mind you, Dalton already has yet another attack visor. It felt like he just used the last one 30 seconds ago, which is ridiculous. That doesn't happen. Especially when the enemy team is playing Reinhardt Stigma.
Oh yeah, look at that. Me does get caught up on the Hanzo Storm Arrows over everyone else being melted down. Dalton on top of this high ground being able to use the visors to start melting everyone down. And they were taking such aggressive positionings that Classified aren't having the time to set up and be ready for it.
The fact that they've been able to dismantle the Bastion stronghold almost every single fight, but okay. Here we go. So it looks like Classified won that with minimal ult investment. It really just looks like Rain and maybe Ulu using the Shatter, whereas Down Bad used what looks like the Gravitic Flux, as well as Mimosa swapping over to the Hanzo. Dalton may have used the attack visor, or may have just not had a chance to build up to a new one. Hard to say.
Yeah. May have been a small power outage, but looks like they're going to be using that bongo on high ground, looking for the pool, not being able to find much. Classified still aren't fully regrouped. They meet themselves on the high ground using the high new Gravitic Flux combo. They managed to find out me and slam down everyone else. They're just looking for opportunities to shut down these targets. There is no Bastion on the side of Down Bad, so they have nothing to worry about, but that window's being used on the high ground. Looks like they're going to be trying to eat up most of the damage. Headshot going onto that Orisa. They're going to be able to melt them down. Looks like the double shield just not going to work well, especially with so much high ground being there.
And this is really what Classified needed, in all honesty, because they were having a rather rough defense up until this point, and holding it where they are in third point is rather good. We couldn't really see how close it got to the final few inches in the moment that the freeze frame happened, but we can assume it probably didn't get extremely close. I doubt the point moved that far backwards in such a short period of time. So there's still a reasonable buffer zone for Classified to use on their defense. And when you look at their ult economy, they have a lot to work with here, specifically both support ultimates.
Oh, I see what you mean. Look at that, already being able to find out the ball. Smiles does get picked out by Dalton. That's going to be building up their visor. Same with the Transcendence Dragon, but now they're going to be using it, forcing the team to back up the Shatter. Going out, they managed to eat Lighter's Dragon as well, but they do shut down Dalton. That was well worth it. The Transcendence making sure they can move forward. The Dragon splitting them up. The Sound Barrier keeping them up. It doesn't even matter what they do. Karina's able to find out that Zenyatta and Uba is just being able to walk forward. They switch over to the Brawl, but at this point, it's kind of somewhat in an even area. The Sigma's still alive to be able to touch onto this point. Same with the Tracer, then the D-Mech Viper, but the ball is going to return, hoping to slam someone down on Down Bad. But it looks like they just need to reset. There's no one left to help them out.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that Previa had the Gravitic Flux basically for the entirety of that fight and just felt no need whatsoever to use it, which is rather large because that's an ultimate that's really powerful in these final engagements, especially when you have nothing on the side of down bad to answer it. Chrome is now over to Diana, and they already used the Transcendence, so even if he stayed onto the Zenyatta, there wouldn't have been any defensive ultimate to deal with it. They don't have a Baptiste for the lamp, so they just have to face tank this Gravitic Flux as long as Previa doesn't get stunned out of it.
Now look, we see the Gravitic Flux coming out, and they switch over to Monkey to be able to die faster and get stunned out by the creep. Went he used the shield, barely able to save Creed, but not for the rest of Down Bad's dive. They are focusing people out. Oh yeah, person left alive on the point to touch is Boopy, but they're not being able to do much. It looks like they're just trying to stall out. The pulse bomb being used ain't able to finish anyone off. Now the mine's being used on the point. That's an amazing ultimate to force out so early.
You had one job, Previa. Unfortunately, Dalton was there to ruin that one job. It's a tragic. And now you have Down Bad pushing the car, I believe, closer than they ever had previously this round. So this is getting rather dicey. I'm not sure if Classified can equalize.
Yeah, look, they're already setting up their angles, managing to find two. But the Monkeys return to the fight. Has the primal range is going to be popping it. They eat the pulse bomb from me, but the highness being used, looking, he has to slowly rotate down, but it's going to be giving it up. The Sound Barrier now giving them room to regroup and recontest, but it was going to be shut down. They still have to be touching point, almost going. The D.Va and Kree looking to just find what they can, light it down dangerously low, but the D.Va's being peeled out. Now the D.Va bomb going out, looking to finish off the target. It's going to be booping them around. Looks like Prev's able to survive, but they managed to get Rev out with the rematch, and there's nothing left they can do. Privia not going to be able to contest, they're able to capture this point in overtime.
Absolute tragedy that Down Bad was allowed to capture all 3 points there. There was a very distinct possibility that Classified could have had a really strong defense if that Gravitic Flux could have gotten off. Absolute clutch play from Dalton to realize that was the win condition, to stun out Previa, and I mean, we saw the end results of it. There was really nothing else that Classified had left. The Gravitic Flux was the win condition. That was the main thing that Down Bad had no answer to outside of a random flashbang, and the absolute worst case scenario happened for him. And from there, they didn't even have to worry about having bulky support ultimates because there was no more damage.
Yep, and I'd have to say, Down Bad brought this as far as they could, but we have to see what Classified can do. This could either end up in a hold and they can't do anything, or they bring it and we go back into an overtime pushing the point scenario. It seems Down Bad want to run just this brawl, no Symmetra. Thought they wanted to run that because of the shields, but seems they just want to run pure aggression.
Okay, so if they are running out onto the pirate ship with Classified, I would have to say that these supports are probably going to be a little bit more conducive to allowing. I don't believe Down Bad ran the Mercy, but I think they ran the Lucio Pep. Smile onto... Okay, so they're actually swapping it around a little bit. If they're running the Reinhardt, I'm not sure how well that'll work with the Bastion, but Down Bad want to be right up in Classified's faces, regardless of what they're running, because they have the Reaper, they have the Lucio. They just have to get in and stay there.
Yep, look at this. They're already playing that Bastion composition, switching out the Orisa for Reinhardt for mobility, but they charge lighter, not caring for anything. However, they switch out for the Baptiste, still somewhat of an even fight, and it looks like Down Bad are just being able to start ending these people before they can do much. However, it is a spawn camp, so they're just looking to do their best to stall this out for as much as they can. Waste that time bait more than anything. However, they're resetting, they're regrouping, especially without a mech.
Yeah, and realistically, even an even fight in this case is going to go heavily in Classified's favor. Lighter going immediately over to the McCree, no real shock. They actually Smile onto the Hanzo as well, so you're seeing a lot of poke damage come in from Classified. Bukri is over to the Lucio now, so he can just speed her team around. Yep,
they also find out Uwu, so there's no tank helping them. I do believe Lighter is on the flank, and Smile finds out the headshot. The Shatter goes out, getting blocked by the Sigma, and it looks like Classified have looked for their opportunity. They're going to be able to start moving forward, especially because everyone on Down Bad just started hard aggressing without much teamwork or synergy, that they left themselves open.
No, they're really just looking to wear down the clock. Down Bad is. Granted, that's really not going to be sustainable for this first point because the entirety of it is heavily in favor of Classified for spawn advantages. So Classified can just make sure that they're getting, a few picks here and there. They're not getting team killed. and they're gonna capture first point, right? It's really just on down bad to wear down the clock as much as possible. How much further they can wear down the clock, I'm not sure, because Classified has a distinct ultimate advantage.
Yeah, we see the 2K managing to hit the Baptiste with the Immortality not being able to sustain them. It looks like Classified were prepared with that combination, and they're going to be able to capture this point and bring it into Streets phase.
Yeah, down bad are allowing some bad habits to kind of take control of their game right now. They're a little bit too focused on just wearing down the clock, and they do actually have to try and win some of these fights now that they're coming into second point, because they had some people alive even when the point was captured there, but they were just so split and so uncoordinated that it allowed Classified to basically roll in the cart without any worry whatsoever. Now both teams looking to take the high ground, but down bad's just a little bit faster.
Look at this, already preparing. Uwu has to shatter, hits it on the corner and hits them. They weren't prepared for the bumper shatter. And that Death Blossom coming out, they look angry. The Sound Barrier making sure that they are enabled to do it. Down bad winning up this fight. They said, don't ever shatter me like that again.
Well, realistically, that was the first fight that I can say confidently that down bad actually won this round. Again, they were taking so scrappy engagements up until this point, so now they can actually stabilize. A bit of a cheeky poke from Evidence. I'm not sure how well it's going to work.
Yeah, look at that. They find a good opportunity and they manage to finish off most of Classified, but I have to say that was a very messy engage, and that relied too much on luck, because that Dragons could have ended them in a split second.
Yeah, Viper doing a great job of eating the dragons from Smile, but they're all very low. I believe both Chromed and King Kong died in that fight, so they're gonna have to wait a little bit before they can fully re-engage. Whereas Classified, their spawn's right there. They can just come back really quick.
Look at this, already taking into the fight. We see the Gravitic Flux popping out. Uwu just looking to build up that shatter, but it's dangerously low. The High Noon being used, but it's also being countered by another High Noon. It's whoever shoots first, and they're unable to find much. Smile being able to find the 2K, looking for the opportunity, but Dalton being able to find two! Cheekily so, and it looks like they're being able to even up this fight. Sure, the Sigma and Bat may be back, but they're not able to touch this point without worry of death.
Down bad is doing a really good job of holding this high ground and making it very awkward for Classified to push through this initial choke point. This is really where you want to hold second point. It's not particularly hairy there. Both of their supports yet again fell, so they just had to use Mimosa's soldier healing field to deal with that. But I have a rotation. I don't think down bad is realizing that Classified is now right up on top of him. Yep.
Yeah, look at that. Already being popped out. Lighter being able to find one, but looks like they were just ready there. Misuke being able to just find them out, but the payload's going to continue moving. They have no one to help contest, and they are a bit caught off in weird positions.
Yeah, as well as Classified having some pretty strong ultimates coming into this final approach at second point. They have the beats, granted they're not really going to need to use it. They have the dragons if they want to zone people out, so they have a lot of potential here to capture this point.
Yep, the dragons being used inside the immortality, but the assassination inside the back line. However, it looks like Classified are being able to have the advantage. The fight's still somewhat even, though Maytake stopping them from pushing forward. However, we do see the soldier just looking inside of this window to be able to force them a little back. They know they're not going to win this point, so they just want to stop them, and now they've pushed it into a 3-minute scenario. This is 100% holdable.
Definitely holdable. I mean, we saw down bad lose like, what, 4 minutes from a time, actually almost 5 minutes going into time bank, I believe, going into their third point, so this is very much holdable for down bad. But they're going to need to play a lot cleaner now, because this is the final approach. They got to kill time, but they have to actually win fights. No more of this, really scrappy engagements.
Yeah, now we see already just having to back out, but down bad just want to rotate immediately to point. Gravitic Flux to shatter. The shatter manages to shatter them on the ground, but the Gravitic Flux manages to find 3. Diva Bomb being thrown up in the air is gonna find out that Tracer, but they still have people alive, and everyone on down bad has no shield, but it looks like they have the opportunity to win. The window being used, but the Visor making sure that they can't use it. And it looks like down bad are gonna be able to win that point.
At a rather large cost, though, when you look at their ultimate economy. They use the attack visor, which I'm not entirely sure if they need it or not. They use the shatter as well as the Diva Bomb, so they don't have really too much to work with here outside of this High Noon.
And look at this, they're now preparing in. High Noon's being used, Lighter able to find the 2K. You don't want that happening, especially in this type of scenario. It looks like they're rather trying to stall than win, because they bait out the ultimate, and now they're immediately retreating.
And again, when you're looking at Down Bad's ult economy, they're going to have both support ultimates, so that is good. But they don't really have much of anything else. They're kind of throwing their ultimates out willy-nilly, and that's making me worry that they're not going to be able to have as strong of a hold on this final approach, because make no mistake, the cart is moving up to that final golden box of not victory, but continuation in this case.
Yeah, now look, we're preparing. Oh my goodness, that was nasty. Immediate one-click hit with combo, the sound barrier allowing them to start moving out. But they are taking in so much damage without the Baptiste, they can't sustain themselves. And now they're just doing their best to try to hold themselves out or wait for the main tank to return. But it's only the flankers left, and now it's 1 minute left to try to capture this point. They find Lighter. That's an amazing type of scenario. You lose one, but you trade in. And now the Baptiste is throwing out the Immort just to be able to touch. Same with the window. The charge goes out. Same with the counter, and they're looking to do as much as they can to the Riddick Flux Pulse Bomb, managing to find out drones. That's not the best, and they're being able to manage it out. The sound barrier sustaining them a tiny bit more while the Diva Bomb gets placed in the sky, manages to find Goofy, and the remake allowing just immediate combat. The Shatter goes out, but there's only 2 people left. Ubu has to do the best to stay alive, but there's only Smile and Lighter left. They don't have the ability for a recontest. There's only less than 30 seconds on the clock, and will this be the end of Classified? I wonder. They're gonna have to rush on to the point with the high noon.
That was looking entirely in favor of Classified right up until the end. But Down Bad had to flip that switch almost immediately and bring back their old selves from earlier in the series, because it hasn't really felt like they've been themselves in this Junkertown. They've been kind of taking Classified for granted, it almost feels like, and they can't do that because Classified are a good team. They're going to punish these sloppy plays.
Yeah, the Sky Charge going out, Dalton able to find out Lighter, putting the fight inside their favor. Mr. has the pulse bomb, the Shatter going out, they managed to finish them out, and this was such a good push, such a good attempt, but in the end, it looks like Classified aren't going to be able to do much. Down Bad winning Junkertown and ending the series in a good 3-0. It was a good attempt, and there's nothing to feel sad about. However, you gotta feel impressed from Down Bad. Almost, it looked very concerning in the end.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to give them a little bit of flack for what felt like just kind of taking Classified too lightly. It felt like they were memeing a little bit too much. Maybe not even memeing is the right word. I think just not respecting their opponents as much. After going up 2-0, it is very easy to just kind of lose that sense of urgency. But otherwise, they did a good job in Kings Row and Busan in particular to just decisively win out these maps, right? Junkertown was a little bit too close for comfort. It was very possible Classified win that round and bring it to overtime pushes.
My goodness, but I guess you could say that is amazing VOD review material when it comes to Classified. They now know their mistakes because Down Bad made sure to abuse them. But who knows? Maybe they might come back into the series and show something completely different. But Mr. Akner, do you have any lasting comments on your mind?
No, that's about it. I think I've said everything that I had to say from that previous round, so yeah, I think I'm pretty good.
I think I would have to say so too, because I've been casting for over 8 hours, and this is the final time that I'll be saying it today. Bless me, and bless everyone who's been helping making this possible. I am your host, username _ so that's Acronator. We thank you so much for joining us here on GGNA. Make sure to hit that heart if you are interested in continuing in. You can join the Discord, join in if you want to. Otherwise, we'll see you next time when it comes to this channel.